Make church great again. This is the idea that many people in many churches have at this time. Many Christians are missing the good old days. Are you old enough to remember when there were plenty of nuns in every church, running every parish school, looking like holy penguins? People are missing those days where seminaries were full of young men studying for the priesthood. People are missing those days when your pastor looked at you and you were trembling because of the fear of God. People are missing those good old days where every pew was filled and the church on Sunday morning was overflowing with people. Pastors are missing the good old days where the collection baskets were so heavy that two people had to carry it to the front of the altar. Make church great again. Those good old days where things were so simple, where Christianity reigned supreme, and life was better. At least some think that way. But was life really better back in these so-called good old days? If we are to make church great again, where should we go when it was the greatest? What decade or what century should we go back to make church great again? It's not easy to choose from, because people usually presume 1950s, right, where the nuns were plenty, where seminaries were full, and collection baskets were heavy, where every mayor in every major city in this country had to listen to the bishop or cardinal, where every cup knew every pastor, where Christians were without any doubt the biggest group in this country. Should we go back to these good old days? Or let's go back further, to the good old Middle Ages, where the cathedrals were being built, huge and majestic buildings for the glory of God, where kings and queens reigned supreme, where the Pope had his army and prison and executioner. Should we go back to the good old days of Holy Inquisition, when we could burn people at stake, call them witches and heretics? Is this good old days enough? Or which good old centuries should we go back to? You see, it's not easy to get an agreement as to the date of the good old days. Everybody wants to make church great again, but nobody can agree on when it was truly great. As I was looking at the Notre Dame Cathedral in flames just a few days ago, I thought of the old days, almost a millennium ago, when it was first constructed. Now, these were good days if you were a king, or nobility, or a bishop. But that's not even 1%. If you're part of the 99.9%, these were anywhere but good days for you. When the cathedrals were being built, people were dying of hunger. When the cathedrals were being built, reading and writing was a privilege of very, very few. Where the cathedrals were being built, the kings and the bishops were close together like that. Where the cathedrals were being built, it wasn't even about Christianity as such. They call it Christendom. Like kingdom, Christendom. Because it was about who controls whom. It wasn't about religion, loving God, loving your neighbor. It wasn't even about going to church because you wanted to, or because you could understand a long, boring sermon. No. It was because you had to, unless you wanted to be burning at stake. When the cathedrals were being built, people were being put to death for heresy, for witchcraft, and for other kinds of abominations. So the Christendom in Europe had its glory days that historians of the church tell us that they were the most shameful days of the church, where Christians fought and killed each other in holy wars. For 30 years in Europe, Catholics were killing the Protestants and vice versa. When the cathedrals were being built, and Christendom was the order of the century. So as Notre Dame was engulfed in flames, some commentators pointed out that it is a perfect metaphor for the end of Christendom. That something has to die for something else to be born. That it is time to let go of that control and power that ruled supreme for centuries in Europe and even here, when the mayors would not dare to do anything against the word of the bishop or cardinal. That part of our history is dying. It did die together with the ceiling of the Notre Dame Cathedral. If you go to Europe today, you will see that Christendom is gone. And thank goodness it is gone. Europe is mostly secular. If there is anybody who believes in God, in Europe today, they are in a tiny minority. Not because of the secular movement, but I dare to say because of Christendom and the temptation of power and controlling of others. Today we celebrate Easter, death and new life, night and sunrise. Today we celebrate the death of Jesus and the resurrection of Christ. And as much as it is painful, uncomfortable, and sometimes troubling, death has to happen for life to be resurrected. If we want Christianity to survive another millennium or two, it cannot survive in the version of Christendom of the Middle Ages, and it cannot survive in the version of good old 50s, where holy nuns were everywhere, with their rulers and evil eye. And gosh, they did make you feel guilty most of the time. Guilty and dirty. Those days are dying if they haven't been dead for a while. And for good measure, because thanks to the death of that mother of the church, a new church can be born to new life. That Christendom is gone and dead, and we, very few of us, no longer big masses of people, but just a few of us, can give a new beginning to a new life, to a better way of being church. You and I have responsibility of being born into a new kind of faith, letting the old days die in peace. Rest in peace, R.I.P. Christendom. Bring new life, Christ. New life of faith, new life of conviction, not because a priest or a nun told you so, but because you choose to believe so. Of people coming to church not because they are afraid of hell, but because they want to come to church. I'm hoping that you are here not because I told you to be here. I'm hoping that you came here maybe for your mom or dad, but even more so because you wanted to come here. If you go to any church because you feel that you must, it's a really, really bad reason to go anywhere. If you go anywhere because you feel guilty otherwise, it's a bad reason to go anywhere. Today, in a few moments, you will witness the baptism of Ken and confirmation of Kaylee, Scott, Michael, and Ken. They are grown-ups, if you haven't noticed. Ken even shaved today. Was it the first time or second? And these grown-ups are coming here not because I told them to, because they asked to be here. This is the way of the church that needs to be reborn again. Not the church of the good old 50s, of Christendom of the past. We don't need more kings or queens or popes or even scary pastors telling us what to do. We need to look at the tomb of Christ and let all these dreams of glory die in peace. And let something new begin. Let Easter of faith start again. In one of many, many readings this evening, in the book of Ezekiel, the 7th of 8 readings, Ezekiel was speaking the name of God. At the end of that passage, God, to the mouth of Ezekiel, says, I will take away your hearts of stone and give you new hearts. I will give you new spirit. Easter, my friends, is about that newness. On this day, we have another chance to receive a new, fresh heart, to receive a new spirit of faith, to receive a new way of being church together. Let's make church great for the first time. Amen.